Everyone, this is Jason Rodriguez with Z Prime. It's a pleasure to be with you here again today at WE3Live. Today, our topic, the importance of data and analytics on the road to the road to net zero. Sorry. Um, Before we jump right into it with Paul and Deepak, our special guests, we do want to announce that we will be releasing our call for nominations for our W3 annual awards. So be on the lookout there in your inboxes or in the chat. We love to hear about the projects you're working on and really give some presence to the different projects you're working on across the globe. But with that, I'll turn it over to our special guest, Paul Lau. He is the general manager and CEO of SMUD, and Deepak Garg, the CEO and founder of Smart Energy Water. Deepak, over to you.
Thank you, Jason, and everybody on the WE3Live. Welcome back again, and happy Earth Day. You know, it's a very, very important day for us. I think not only today, I think every day should be Earth Day. We all need to save our climate. We need to save every drop of water. We need to save every electron, which we don't need to use, because we know that these are the most important commodity and most important service in our life, which is being served by these beautiful utilities. And I'm very, very fortunate to know a lot of those utilities, but definitely Paul as a CEO of Smart. I can tell you, I know personally and professionally Paul, but I'm very impressed with when I met him first time, and I still remember depth of about him knowing every aspect of utilities operations, business, and how he can connect the future to mixing with the current and the past. I just love that. So Paul, welcome on this WE3Live. I feel very excited because definitely we have multiple conversations on different forums, but today is a very, very important. And I know that some of the things happen and you will be sharing with the team and the people and the listening. You testified in front of the Congress, you know, for the climate and all. We would like to know all that. But before that, because I know a lot about you personally and professionally, people really would like to know about you. And this is a format, you know, I have to give the Z Prime team and Jason team, you know, that did a great job of, you know, putting these 4 questions in front of you, which is we call as icebreaker. Would like to know from you, and so that people get to know about you a lot, you know. Just these 4 questions, please don't be very, very open about this. And this is a funny, good, and very intelligent question, I can tell you. Tell, you know, the audience of all of us, you know, is that energy find you or you find the energy?
Well, first of all, you know, it's great seeing you, Deepak, and thank you, Jason, for inviting me to come to speak. And really happy Earth Day, you know, everyone. And I agree with you. Couldn't agree with you more, Deepak. Every day should be Earth Day. So I guess you could say that I really found energy. So my first 2 years in college at Sacramento State, I really had my eyes set on being a dentist. But then when one of my friends said, hey, you know what, before you apply to dental school, maybe you should try it out. So I did. I volunteered at the UC Davis Medical Center, you know, before I applied to dental school. Mm-hmm. And after 3 months, I absolutely hated it. I said, oh my goodness, I cannot do this the rest of my life. So I changed majors, but, you know, so very fortunate, a good friend of mine, a classmate from a physics class, you know, connected me to an internship at SMUD, which ultimately, you know, led me to switch my major to electrical engineering. And then when they hired me, you know, for the job, I really never dreamed that I'll be here for almost 40 years. This is my 39 years with the company, and really having the honor, you know, being hired as a CEO last year. And I really kind of found the work fascinating and love how SMUD works. But more importantly, how cool is the job? Every day I come to work is, how do I make Sacramento a better place for everyone who lives here? So that's how I found energy, definitely.
Paul, I'm amazed. You use number 39 around 40 years. We need to figure out what you eat, because I have to now, after this meeting, I'm going to be finding out what you eat. You look so young. You know, if you didn't tell people you've been in the utilities for 40 years, me and Jason will not take it that easily from anybody, you know. So definitely please continue with a great health. And we love SMUD too. We love everybody in Sacramento County who's leveraging all under your leadership, a great, you know.
Thank you.
Really. Next one. What something you believe in and other people feel is crazy?
You know, I get asked this question a lot, and quite honestly, and what happened is that I would say the sole reason for my existence is because my mom went to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller told her that you're going to have three sons, and your youngest son is going to be with you and taking care of you for the rest of your life. So my mom keeps trying. So I'm the youngest of nine children. So, but you know what's really crazy? What the fortune teller, I don't know, is a self-fulfilling prophecy or what, but it ended up to be true. I was with my mom, from the day I was born to the day she passed away about 10 years ago. So absolutely crazy that, only reason why I was even born is because my mom believed in a fortune teller telling her that, she's going to have three sons, and she just kept trying.
No, no, I think there's nothing. I think all happen for all the good reasons. And I think we all know that we all love our parents and we all love our moms. And I really can't. My biggest mentor, with along with my dad, but my mom being my biggest mentor, and I have a great respect of all working women's and non-working women's. They definitely contribute a lot. We all know that. Uh, Third question: what advice you would give to a young Paul?
I will probably share three things with a young Paul. The first is the importance of building relationship. I never intended to supervise people. When I went to engineering school, all I want to do is engineering. And if I really want to work with people, I'll go into marketing. But as I worked at the different parts of SMUD and built relationship across the organization, I really quickly learned to value the contribution of other people. The beauty about diversity of thoughts, and really learn about how to work with them, with the different type of people, and collaborate and really try to be understanding where they're coming from. All important skills to lead, to be successful and lead. The second is probably the importance of learning. I had various mentors, which encouraged me to try new things, including new jobs, by saying, hey, it's only going to be 18 months in this job. My family kind of jokes that even though I've been in SMUD at 39 years, I've never done the same thing for more than 5 years. I think you said earlier that in my 39 years here, I've been the chief customer officer, the chief energy supply officer, energy delivery officer, chief technology officer, and then chief strategy and operations officer. But what it did is that this experience really helped prepare me for the CEO role. Having led virtually almost all the major core business units at SMUD, and this kind of openness to learning really opened many doors, thinking out of the box. And then the third is probably the most important, is courage. Having the courage to think differently and really kind of embrace and inspire change. That's not only important to help lead successful teams, but really deliver great outcomes for our customer and our community. Now, this courage was really kind of especially important, I think, the last time when Sacramento went through the Great Recession back in 2009, and we, working together as community, apply for grants, from the American Reinvestment Grant from President Obama. And we got 60% of the grants that was given to California, 127 million, by working together as a community. So, and then certainly, what I'm doing now, as you said earlier, I testified in Congress about SMUD's aggressive goal of zero carbon emissions in the power supply, which is one of the most aggressive goal of any large electric utility in California or in the US. So I would say those are the three things that I would tell young Paul.
No, very, very, very important. And I think we love those three input for young Paul. And the fourth one, would like to know from you what you want to put on billboards, for the 7 billion people which they see from coming from you, would like to see.
I would say anything's possible. That's the tagline, because that certainly has applied to my life and my career. I was a young immigrant coming from Hong Kong. I was born in Hong Kong. My mom and dad had a divorce when I was 9, and my mom remarried. And from Hong Kong, I moved to Africa. From Africa, I moved to Truckee. And from, snow was great, but you get tired after 18 months shoveling your way out of the front door every day. My mom, moved back to Sacramento. And so even the whole thought about me, young immigrant coming over, went to school here, and I could never imagine that I would become a CEO of the local power company. That's never even thought about, right? And now thinking about what we're doing, putting Sacramento on the map to try to be an example how working with the community, we can tackle climate change, but do it in a way that really addresses all the issues that are important to the community. So I would say that is like, I'm just great example. Anything's possible. If I can do it, I think anyone can do it.
I think it's a definitely you're a great inspiration for a lot of people, and I think that's nothing better than you can share. And I think it's truly it's only can happen when you are, and we talk about this, when you are positive about everybody around you, and you're positive about the future. And I love that, Paul. Because these in today's time when we all last 14 months we're all going through this pandemic. I think one thing was right there is with all the good or bad things that are happening around us, we need to be very positive about it and look into the future. So Paul, I know that we are going to have a limited time, but I want to now jump on a lot of people would like to know from you, the zero carbon goal 2030, one of the most ambitious goal in the country. Why was it important for SMART to take this broader approach of addressing climate change? There should be something within your board and community to think about, how to get this approval, and you should have some obstacle in front of you. Just we would like to know from you, this is really, when I got to know, I was like, wow, this is truly a very aggressive, but definitely we know that when you are driving something, it's going to happen. So love to know the background about that.
Sure. So it really is really especially exciting and really to be here today talking about SMART's ambitious goal on Earth Day, right? Our board approved a bold and ambitious goal to eliminate carbon emissions from our power plant by 2030, 5 years ahead of President Biden's goal, which is the most ambitious goal of any large utility in the US. Now, I know while carbon reduction actions help to fight climate change, but as I said before, it's much more than that. Sacramento really has been an environmental leader for many years. And this effort is really true to our roots as a community-owned organizations. Our plan will deliver a really wide-reaching benefits to our community with really a focus on equity and strengthen all the communities from improving air quality and overall community health and job creation. We're planning to spend $4.5 billion in the next 9 years. To bring on additional renewables on both the grid side and also on the customer side. And this will create thousands of jobs that we have. And Deepak, that we were spearheaded the development of California Mobility Center, right? Which is to accelerate the adoptions and installation of anything that have to do with e-mobility. And that's another big economic driver. So our board really sees the urgency of leading the way to zero, especially given Sacramento's poor air quality and wildfire and droughts. Last year we had the most wildfire ever in the state of California. We're going through another drought this year.
Sure.
But most of all, I think most people don't know, because when you think about California, you think about the beautiful state. But our city is the 5th worst city in the US for ozone pollution. Our children are 30% have a highest chances of getting childhood asthma than the average American kid. 30% is unconscionable, right? So our board really kind of sees this, in terms of, so for all the skeptics that I say is that we really have found through our numerous community workshops. So before we present this plan to our board, we had 12 community meetings over 600 of our customers gave us comments and attended. We had the stakeholders came in, and what we found is over 97% of our community support this plan. That's what I'm going to tell, the critics, right? Because this is what the customer wants.
Sure.
This is what our community wants.
Sure.
Right? But now, provided they said this is great, but make sure you don't lose your core values, which is make sure you deliver reliable power and making sure your rates is affordable. So that's why, our zero carbon plan isn't about only eliminating carbon from our power supply, but it's really about doing so while maintaining world-class reliability. During the heat wave last summer, some of the California utilities had rolling blackouts. SMUD, we didn't. In fact, we're able to export about 300 megawatts, of power to a neighboring utility to keep the lights on for them.
No, I
So
think
really, I mean, what you said about earlier to the skeptics, I'll say, please come join us. We've been in this crossroad before. Smart went from 0% renewables to 33% when people said it wasn't possible. Today, we're 50% carbon free. Now, it's also important, you can't just talk about a goal without having a plan. So
Sure.
we have published a 140-page detailed plan about how we're going to get there. And our board is poised to adopt that. And we've gotten lots of comments, on doing it. So it's important to point out, we can get to 90% of the way there with the proven clean technology that we have today, like wind, solar, biomass, and the like. And we're talking really about improving on a really strong foundation. And I'm a firm believer by working together, we'll get there faster, which is why our plan is inclusive and collaborative. And really by working with policymakers, business, academic, and more, we align our resources for maximum impact. So when I talk about, our plan is about carbon. Yes, it's about climate change, but it's also about clean air. It's also about public health. It's all about inclusive economic development to make sure no community gets left behind. It's also about the economic vitality, of our region. So that's why our plan is exciting for me and for our region. Goal is more than SMUD. It's about our region. It's about our country. It's really about our planet. And hopefully, we can be an example and a partner for anyone who shares the same goal that we do and come partner, invest, and find those solutions that we all need to go. So that's why, as you can see, I'm excited about the plan because, and our customers excited about the plan, and our board is scheduled to vote on it on the 28th of this month. So not only do they adopted the ambitious goal, they're also looking to adopt, that ambitious plan, because it's great to have a goal, but you don't have a plan to get there, then it's just a piece of paper that you write on the wall. So we're looking forward to have Jason, your team, and Deepak's team, your team from SCW, which has been a great partner, to do all this. So that's why I'm excited about my plan.
Paul, I cannot, I don't know for sure. I was getting goosebumps, and getting that energy all the way digitally transmitted to me. I'm sorry, I just love this, the way you were putting across. No wonder why it is so detailed, why the passion coming out of your conversation is you really own it, and I love that when you said that if anybody wants to do the same, anybody wants to do the same kind of goal and love to know the plan, work with SMUD. And I will definitely, my next point will be relate to that, all the other utilities, when we see across, when we talk about what they need to do to meet this good aggressive goals of climate, emissions and clean energy. And all the same time, they have to managing their stakeholders, doesn't matter they are municipalities, doesn't matter they are privately owned, and all. Just what kind of advice you want to give it to them, beyond working with you and getting all this, what you were offering already.
So what I want to say is that, by really taking a proactive leadership role in addressing climate change, right? So we really hope to make Sacramento an example to follow in a region where climate-friendly business wants to grow. So our plan is broke out in 3-year chunks, right? So that, we know what we're going to do for the next 3 years, but you need to build in flexibility because technologies change, right? Markets change. So you want to make sure you build in that flexibility. So our approach is really holistic. We really focus on the energy supply, right? By electrification, new technologies, but more importantly is making our customer part of the solution, through electric vehicles, rooftop solar, battery storage, building electrification, and demand response. So that said, other utilities have to decide what the customers and leadership believe is the best for the community they serve, since air pollution and climate change knows no physical boundaries. So we're optimistic that other utilities, and particularly those in California, will join us on this journey. And in fact, many of them are already working very, very aggressively to tackle climate change, right? But it's really about engaging the community. It's really about finding out and making sure, like, for example, SMUD, we have something called a Sustainable Community Initiative or programs that we work with those community that's underserved and the organizations that serve them to really find out, what's preventing them from joining this zero carbon economy, right? Is it jobs? Is it transportation? Is it access? Is it training? To making sure that when, as part of your plan, you make sure those needs, right, and those communities are brought along at the same time that everyone else is. So, so that's really one of my advice, to any utilities, following in this thing is make sure your community and your customer, all part of the customers, are part of the solutions. And it's going to take education. It's going to take outreaching to them like you never had before. But it's also really about making sure they understand you're doing this is a partnership. It's not SMUD is doing it's just SMUD doing it. It's really about let's partner together for this common goal that we all want and get their best ideas, right, from the community, but from neighboring utilities, from companies like you, from the best minds of the world. Because I think if you talk to the young kids today, I have 3 kids, and the oldest is 29, the middle is 25, and my son is 21, right? And you talk to the young generation, they really want us to do something about the environment because the costs, right, and the impact, if we don't do something, it's just too big. And so it's really about hopefully inspiring your community, together to do it.
No, I cannot underline this more and more. I think, Paul, with what goal you put it across, plan you put it across through SMART, I think it's just going to be a global blueprints for a lot of utilities. And through V3, this is what we're trying to educate, to the people, to take all these intelligence, all that plans, what we know that is going to work, from the broader audience. When we talk about, we are living in the global connected world. And to your point, the water, power, and climate are all interconnected. And if we don't do, and we don't engage people into this mix too, and I know that SMART is very, very customer focused, community focused, I think if we don't put the customer to get educated about all these topics, and engage them the way you are trying to engage, and a lot of other utilities are trying to engage them, and empower with the power so they can make the change in their life too. Because we all are working towards to ensure that we provide them sustainability, we provide them reliability on the services and clean energy, clean water. But at the same time, the billions of people need to get that education available to the fingertips, to the platform they use it. So I love that when I look anytime more and more deep from a SMART standpoint and your vision, keep bringing the customer and community in the mix. Everything what you're doing is being validated and being discussed and shared with the broader community and take their input. So I will take it that the next point and next question, as you are going to be collecting a lot of this data, from utilities, definitely there's an enterprise data, there is a grid data, there is a customer data. How you see that data, analytics and AI and machine learning, is going to play a big role achieving your zero carbon, and a cleaner climate goals?
That was a great question, Deepak. I think data and analytics plays a huge role. In fact, a significant role, a major role in helping us reach our zero carbon goal. So we're expecting an increase in customer distributed energy resource adoptions, right? And the need for the high volume of data surrounding operation of those devices. Think about the thousands of, rooftop solar, the hundreds of thousands of cars that you have, right? The batteries that you have in the system. And you need to make sure that you have the data to optimize those impact and benefit to the grid. So we will continue to leverage data analytics, those opportunity really to improve the overall system reliability and reduce costs. Because one of the things that you keep hearing about is that we can't afford to get there. So you have to use data analytics, right? To drive, first of all, your internal operations, how to be more efficient. And then you're gonna look at, well, how do you leverage what the customer has and be more efficient? So really long-term, as we think about, right, going forward, the more customers actually invest in things beyond the meter, the more you need to understand, how's that going to impact their lifestyle? How's it going to impact their energy usage, right? How's it going to impact the programs, right, that we designed for them? How are they going to use those technology? So case in point, in 2018, we invested, over $20 million on the Advanced Distribution Management System, or ADMS, or distributed energy resource management system to do precisely that. So think about the iPhone, right? Think about 10 years ago, who would have thought, well, 12 years ago now, right? Who would have thought social media would change the way, how Americans actually behave and get news and even conduct our daily life. And so we want to think about using data analytics to really kind of do the same thing, to really get a deep understanding of all the resources that they're putting on the customer side. And it could be even behavioral, right? Through rate changes, or just putting a plea, do the right thing for your neighbors and for your kids. So how would you actually use data analytics, the Internet of Things, to drive efficiencies across the whole value chain, right? From optimizing what the customer's putting in, right? The operation efficiency of the distribution grid, the operations of the transmission grid, the operations of all the power plants that you have, all the renewables, and playing that kind of conductor, right? About, without data, you won't know what to do, because there will be literally trillions of data points that you need to do analytics on. And I don't think humans can do it fast enough. So that with machine learning, right? Artificial intelligence. I know, your company is doing a lot. I know Jason's is, writing a lot about artificial intelligence and data analytics and other things. I so firmly believe that you need the intelligence layer, right? That would have advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning to solve this complex problem, right? From behaviors to things beyond the meter, to the distribution grid, transmission grid, power generation, and remote markets, and get the optimize the system across all the systems so we can get to where we need to go. So that is maybe a long answer, but I truly believe that data analytics is really the next thing that we need to do. And especially when it comes to vehicle to grid, right? Smart charging. Think about, I have a Tesla Model 3 that have 75 kilowatt hours in the car. I can easily pump in 4 to 5 kW for 3 or 4 hours when the grid really needs it the most. But how do you coordinate the 5 million vehicles that's out there, all charging and discharging at the same time, along with the rooftop batteries, along with the at-home storage, right? At the same time, energy efficiencies, right? And the things that happen in the grid. So very complicated issue, but certainly I think, we have to, I think the intelligence and I think the technology is moving rapidly for us to get there.
No, I think, Paul, I will not take that as a long answer, but it is because this is highly complicated, highly complex. And I think I can just add to your point. We felt the same thing, while we were talking. I think this is my and your conversation around 2.5 years back. Like when we talk about millions of endpoints with the multi-second data points coming in, which is impacting all the way from a generation to the distribution, and have a goals of efficiency from the customers and the utilities to have the top reliability 24/7 water, power, and gas. This is a very complex situation and a complex problem. But if we all understand the data pretty well, if we are able to connect the dots from operation to all the way to the customer and give them the power to take a decision at the right time, I think this complex will become simple, because now we're truly connected with them billions of data points to the billions of people, and now we empower them to take a right decision at the right time. And that's where, to your point, the data, the AI and machine learning, and we took it, this is like 6 years back, we gone very deep into not only taking the analytics and reporting as one of the very important element, but the AI and machine learning, how you bring those and build those models, and algorithms around that, so that somebody as a human doesn't need to compute and say, I want to take a decision. Can I have the machine change the behavior of a person who need to be changed? Not everybody. No need to push everybody, because the people who are good and doing good, they should be continuing good. And the people who have pretty much chances to get better, we should be engaging with them and getting them better and better and better. But that to another point on our conversation. And the last W3 session, the Sadzi, who's the commissioner for the Illinois, she talked about the regulation on utility data. What your thoughts are, on the future of statewide data platform that standardize the data on the customer usage and the utility system, which can be easily shared, and we can drive the intelligence out of that. What are your thoughts about that?
So, I listened to Sadzi, and she made some, I think, some really good points about how having statewide data platforms with standardized data could be helpful. But what we also want to caution, it comes with several potential concerns, right? Maintaining privacy and security of the data being chief among them, right? Consumer education is important. So customer knows exactly how the data is being used and not being used. And as you know, Deepak, right, you can find out a lot about, customers' lifestyle through the data analytics from their energy usage. You couldn't even know when they're going to be home, when they're not going to be home, what appliances they use, right, down to that level. So, but in the space of electric usage data, right, there's already a green button standard for customers to download their usage data. And we do support green button, like the self-service, right? At SMUD, we look very closely on how we collect, use, and leverage data to really kind of continue to enhance our customer programs and the experience with SMUD. You kind of mentioned that earlier, Deepak, right? When we put in the smart meters. So we use that data to, to really help design our TOU rates to find out who will be most impacted, right? What programs do we need to get those customers who are most impacted with any kind of rate changes, right? So that's really what now is a standard how we use for roll out any programs. So energy usage really has helped us significantly to enhance the tools and the information and the support that we provide our customers. And that bill alerts, cost estimator, bill comparison tools, and much more. So we really have barely touched the tips of a very, very large iceberg when it comes to data. And we know the iceberg is only growing bigger by the second. Data analytics really, as you said, have the opportunity to help us to reimagine our business model, our customer offering, and so much more. As you said, even about using data to change their behaviors, right? To change how they think about, energy, and to think about, how their lifestyle. So that to me is really where it's at.
No, love the answer, and love this information what you're giving. And I know that we always have this conversation more and more, the innovation on the customer side, what do you see a play to the road for the zero emission and the goals you already put it for your Smart 2030, zero carbon plan?
So as we focus more on building electrification and transportation, demand side innovation is going to play a critical role in reaching our zero carbon goals. I mean, if you look at our plan, we're doing doubling, tripling, we talk about storage 10 times what they were installing today. So it really helped us address the rise of the digital, what we're going to call the digitally empowered prosumers. Our customers are really now also energy producers and going to be new demand for clean and efficient energy services. So one of the biggest challenges in this area is a lack of interoperable standards among the various behind the meter clean technology vendors. And the second area is really the orchestration of the technology platforms consisting of the IoTs, Internet of Things, the next generation of communication technologies, kind of as you said before, the advanced and big data analytics and machine learning, cloud technologies along with the edge of the distributed intelligence, and the distribution grid, I think will help fine tune energy usage in real times. So this area truly is evolving, but I'm really encouraged to see all the advances in those technologies. And I think without innovation in those areas, we probably can't get there. So I think the more we have companies, that I know Jason is in touch with all the time, Deepak, you're in touch with all the time, to come together and say, we got to bring innovations on the demand side. So, customers are putting those in to benefit them, to kind of fit their lifestyle, right? At the same time, doing something that's good for the economy and good for the environment. So, so you solve, as I said, multiple purpose at once, and you really can't do that without innovation.
No, I think I can tell you, Paul, one thing is as a tech company, for us, the innovation is a backbone, how we do it. Doesn't matter, the innovation is in a small or the bigger area. But I think one thing we always discuss about that, in innovation in this demand side and the customer side is very, very important. At the same time, the companies of the future need to look more to be interconnected, because we see some of the technology get too much bound with the boundaries and not able to your point, not able to integrate. while we're talking about from all the way generation, and the generation is not the typical generation to all the way to the customer generation and customer demand to the utilities demand, it is going to be a completely a two-way freeway of billions of electrons moving around from the grid to the home and home back to the another home. We're just very excited because we've seen such a really high speed innovation demand from the worldwide technology companies to the utilities companies to interconnect with each other and share the intelligence with each other to make the customer life better, and the utilities life easy from operational standpoint and reliability standpoint and sustainability standpoint. So thank you, Paul. I know that we are already, up on the time, and really, it was a very, very great session. I think our audience definitely heard a lot from you, and we know that the people will be following SMART, 2030 zero carbon plan. And I know for sure in the coming V3 series, we'll be bringing you back, to hear more innovation, more good information out for customers to learn, utilities to learn worldwide. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for your time. And I will give it to Laurel,
Deepak, for inviting me, and thank you so much, Jason, and so it's always fun, talking to you guys on this. And so hopefully I'll come back and talk to you, and give you some update and progress as things go along. But Deepak, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, in terms of, in fact, I told the board, without innovation, we can't get there.
That's true.
Right. So two of my key initiatives, with the company is embrace innovation like we never had before, both internal and external, but then also embrace partnership like we never had before.
Sure.
Because that's really, to me, is how we're going to get there, about, how all of us are going to get there. Because I think all of us wants, a cleaner planet, right, that we can leave to our kids and grandkids. So it's not just about SMART, but it's really about, all of us, kind of working on this together. And thanks again for inviting me. So always fun talking to you, Deepak.
And Paul, I can tell you one thing. I see that a global industry leader, as you, I can see that, you will be going on the places to share this great intelligence, great plan and execution. And we are looking forward for that.
Thank you. And we're looking to partner with you too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much for the invite again.
We'll give it to Laurel. Laurel, please. She will be sharing with you some thoughts. Take care, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.